Hello people, this is Ryder here to review the Kamen Revice DX Vail driver and Destream driver unit. So this is indeed yet another Premium Bandai item, and typically in line with Premium Bandai of re-releasing a belt and repainting it and changing it a bit to validate it and such. Here we have the main driver of, in the case of here we have the Destream driver with the Hercules Vice stamp. I don't think it's called a Hercules Beetle. I don't think that's the full name. And Kamen Destream on the right, or the left. No, that's the right. I really do like, how bright this one is in overall, and it's just, it's actually cool to have Destream because honestly, he's probably one of the best retoolings out of the series. The bottom just has literally everything. Not for children under 3, content warnings, cautionaries, battery information, size for the belt straps. And then on the left here, we have our Destream driver with a little bit of the screen. I don't know what happened here. Then when we turn it to the back side, we have the Vail driver with Kamen Rider Vail and the Kabuto Vice stamp. And again, I just like the contrasting tones with both of them. I'm not interested. I'm surprised they didn't just make this one the front because, it was mainly Vail, but I get it. And then when we turn it here, we have Kamen Rider Vail driver with the Kabuto Beetle. And last but not least, we have the top with both Vail and Destream. Really neat overall. So here we have all the contents of this set. The Vail driver, the Vice stamp holders for the Vail driver, the belt straps, the Destream driver unit, which when you open this up, these are already applied to the Vail driver, and the Vice stamps. So we're going to go from least important to important. So the belt straps are pretty standard. Again, they're kind of weird because of how shorter these are, which I don't recall. But also it's just interesting that they're silver. But they're the standard Ryder belt straps that we're all familiar with. Still has the Sengoku driver buckle with the Jiku driver straps. Really weird. The Vice stamp holders, now in proper black as opposed to the blue that the Demon's driver had. Absolutely. You can slot them in like so. It's always neat that they've been actually pushing these out. These are probably the most variants we've had of holders. Again, just simply pressing on the sides to put them in like so. Also, you have to leave this out so then you can actually put in the holders. There goes the right side. This is definitely the tightest I've had to deal with these holders, which is definitely interesting. It's probably also just because the belt straps have been barely used until now, but so there we go with that. And then to completely make it the Vail driver, put in the Kabuto Vice stamp, and here we go. Here's an overview of the Vail driver strapped. And then to make it the Destream driver, put in Hercules. And then we'll get to this later, but just simply get these on. So And here we have the Destream driver strapped. So let's remove this for the video and take a look at the Vail driver. So obviously the Vail driver is a simple retooling of the Demon's driver. Obviously this was made by popular demand. So obviously for the most part, instead of being black or the like really dark navy blue, now the base of it is just this bright red with the screen being this nice like copper red, and the veins like straps being now gray and such. Obviously all the detail in the back's the same, and the buttons now are this really neat like plastic brown. Like I really like the shininess they added to it, and I really like the grays they added to it. And as you can tell too, because the Vail driver is supposed to be a prototype to the Demon's driver, so I like how uneven it is, because this side's basically like a complete block, but this side's like more traditional. It's just that it has this extra thing to it. Obviously you can still push them in, but like now there's like kind of like an unevenness to it, which is really interesting and such. So compared to the Demon's driver, as you can tell, like, I mean, I guess you can basically say it's like the colors inverted for the most part. I think I still think the Demon's driver looks more appealing, but you know, just for its like simplistic look. But you know, the Vail driver. Sorry. But obviously the new thing with this one is that it actually has additional pieces of plastic, the Destream driver unit, which obviously is in 2 pieces and such. And I like the Destream driver unit because it's just a big blue piece of plastic with this nice metallic blue and yellow, and then the silver and the white, and it's just pretty neat overall. These are not the same exact pieces. They're actually different due to their clips because of the uneven sides of the Vail driver, because you can tell this has more plastic. This has more of an extension than this one, because you can tell this one's curved while this one's straight because of how the clips are formed and such. So obviously to form the Destream driver, you want to clip the sides in like so, and then you want to clip this like in so, and now we have the Destream driver, which again I think helps break out the colors a bit more, because again like the blue just really works well with the red, and I really like how basically these sections basically remove the brown and such to show like, you know, the evolution of the belt. And also obviously this is to mirror the Revice driver, because now instead of a 50 it has the 25 and such, because obviously Vail debuted 25 years prior to Revice. My only gripe about the Destream driver unit, besides, like, you know, I don't mind the fact that, like, I like how it, like, covers up, like, both sides to make them even now, as you can tell from the back, because you can tell this side fully, like, comfortably sits in, but because of the fact this side doesn't, this side comes off a lot more when you're, like, because when you're, like, basically, like, trying to push it, you can, like, you basically end up, like, this side will tend to like fall off a lot more because of the fact that it doesn't really have that securance. Like, yeah, this side can too, but it's just that it just helps that this actually has like something levering it, or like just something holding it in, unlike this one, because this one can literally just come off. But like for the most part, the clips are like solid. Like, the clips don't feel like they're gonna, like, break or anything. And again, like, it actually makes it, obviously it just makes pushing these in a lot more easier and such. Alright, so here we have the Vice stamps. So here's the Kabuto Vice stamp. Obviously, it's in our traditional quote-unquote shoulder rider-esque marbling, which, as I've already complimented before, these are just the best Vice stamps to get marbling out of, because I feel like they just have the most. The stamp, and then the QR code for Gamba Raising. And obviously, you know, here we have the Kabuto Beetle. I really like the shade of, like, the crimson red they chose for it. And the black clear plastic with Vail in the back. Again, this one's a pretty solid Vice stamp overall. And this is just a traditional Vice stamp. Red LED. Next up, we have the Hercules Vice stamp. Again, I always want to say Hercules Beetle, but then that's not consistent then, because then I should refer to Kabuto as a Kabuto Beetle, but this is just Hercules. This one's definitely interesting. This is basically in the same vein as Over Demons, where this is like a one-off, like, style, Vice stamp style, as, you know, instead of like the traditional Revice blue, this one's actually red. And honestly, at first, when we saw pictures of this Vice stamp, it looked pink to me. And even when, like, official pictures came out, it still looked pink. But honestly, having it in person, I can definitely see the red. And this is such a good marbling. Like, I just feel like it's just weird that, like, the blue is just the weakest one. And it's so weird. Like, again, like, I just like seeing all of this, because it's like, and it, like, this too, it's just, it's so velvety. And then the stamp, QR code for Gamba Raising. Obviously, you can press this, and, like, also I just like how the front is, like, really great too, because I like the translucent blue plastic, clear plastic. I said translucent, right? And the Hercules Beetle being gold and, like, extending this far is just like, that's what I'll compliment about Vice stamps. I like how nothing restricts them, and, like, even if something, like, extends out of the Vice stamp, it doesn't disrupt, like, how you hold it and such. I really appreciate that. And obviously we have Destream in the back. Again, our two standard sounds. And a yellow LED, which is pretty neat. Alright, so with the Vail driver, to turn it on, obviously you just simply switch it on the back. I forgot to mention that it requires four AA batteries. And it's not just simply that, you actually have to hold down the screen and turn it on. And I would just preference you to just at least hold down on the middle, because I at least try to cheat it by holding it down, or you really have to press down in the end, because then it will just think that you're not pressing it down. Anyways, when you turn it on right away, you actually don't get anything. So this is technically essentially a mode. So we will actually do the transformation first, to which you just simply activate the Vice stamp. And then, just like the Demon's driver, you want to slot it at the top of the driver like so, and then just stamp, or press the stamp down. Obviously, to have the two light sensors interact. And then we have a new standby, or we have this really nice orchestral standby with basically the same standby animation from the Demon's driver, just a different LED. And then obviously to complete the transformation, just stamp the press the screen down with the stamp. So there we have the transformation of Kamen Vail, Kabuto Genome, technically. But as you can tell, like the animation is basically on par with what we're familiar with. It's just different colors and places and such. And then obviously just like the Demon's Driver, if we were to activate the Vice stamp and press it on the screen, as you can tell, again, a new standby, and then again, do the finisher, just press down on both sides. There we have our finisher, the Veiling Impact. However, if we were to try to press the sides in, we don't get anything because Vail doesn't actually have the ability to genome mix and such. So this is basically the equivalent of the Vail driver of just, it's basically like a halfway Demon's Driver. And if we were to use other Vice stamps, so there we actually get a shortened version of the Vail transformation, but then he shouts sacrifice and the, Vice stamp you put in, which I think is really cool. And as you can tell from there, the spider is actually like modified, which is again really interesting and such. The finisher will be the same, but we would just show off another Vice stamp. As you can tell, the Kujaku is still the same, but I do like how it's the shout from when the finisher is when we typically have done the Demon's Requiem. However, in substitution, we got phrase modes and such, to which if you hold this down, we awaken Vail. And basically in this mode, I assume its phrases comprise of Vail from Revice Legacy, Kamen Rider Vail, and such. So to just access these, to enter these phrases, just simply press either side or press them both. This mode has about 7 phrases. That might be the second to last or the last phrase. I think that one might have been. Yeah. And if we do the finishers for any of these modes, they're the same. No, transformations. And if the finisher the Veiling Impact. However, if we were to hold down the sides again, this I think is to emulate Vail gain sealed away at the end of Vail Legacy, which I think is pretty neat. And now at this point, it has phrases comprising of his manifestation in physical form within the series, I assume? At this point, I'm not going to play all the phrases in each mode. It's about 7 to 8. I'll play 3. to 4. Also, I really like the attention of detail of now it no longer has the eyes of Vail, because obviously he's no longer in this belt. That'll be it. That'll be all I'll play. If you want to hear the rest, watch the demo. However, if we actually do the finisher at this point, we actually get the second finisher, the Veiling Nova, which is really cool. I just don't get why it's locked into these last 2 modes, because I assume that he actually did have the ability of doing the Impact and Nova within his mini-series, so it's weird to lock the second finisher within the his in-show appearances. But speaking of that, we have one last mode. I think this one has 5 phrases. They're just really long, and I personally don't know the whole purpose of this mode. Anyways, for this mode, I will show off using a different Vice stamp yet again, just to show it doesn't really matter. So obviously all that's the same, and if we were to do the finisher, this does not like standing because of the unevenness. So yeah, obviously it still does the Veiling Nova. And then if we were to hold it back in, we just cycle back to the first mode, or the first phrase mode. So sadly, there's no way of accessing a mode that doesn't have anything, that doesn't play anything when you press the sides in, because, again, to show, or not to show, but basically when you're transformed within that mode, basically just pressing in the sides will just go through the dialogue, which is pretty neat. But I kind of wish there was I kind of wish they did give you the ability without just turning it off, to just not have him say anything when you press the sides in. Like, okay, so so what I was just going to explain is that, like, obviously, this applies to all the Vice stamps and such, and I guess I should at least play with one of these if we were to use a power-up. So so it is pretty, like, you know, it's still neat that that is still carried over in a way. Like, I like that it does use the call out when he does the finisher, but not, like, you know, you don't get the announcement, but, you know, it's something at least. It at least reads the other Vice stamps and such. Anyways, we're gonna actually switch it off for now, because we had this change into the Destream driver, which, again, it doesn't matter if you have these on, which I kind of wish there was a way it actually knew, so then you didn't have to do this process, but anyways, basically, this thing defaults to the Destream driver, because if you were to switch it on, it spirals out and such. So again, just like the Vail driver, it does have phrases. However, unlike that thing, it's a lot more complicated here, because you have to hold down the buttons to get the phrases. So we get phrases from Genta, or Igarashi Genta, the father of the Igarashis, and I think it's about like 21 phrases. The majority of it's just his confrontation with Vail. And then obviously we have to do this last one. Alright, so obviously to transform to Destream, it's the same process. Activate the Vice stamp. Insert it in the top like so. As you can see from here, we actually have new light animations as opposed to the Vail driver mode, and a new standby. And obviously to complete the transformation, just stamp the stamp on the screen. And there we have the transformation of the Kamen Rider Destream, which I think definitely the highlight of the Destream driver mode is the light animations. Like, I know I wasn't really as big with them, with the Demon's driver, but I like how more proactive they are and such. Like, just more, like, motion to them instead of, like, because, I mean, like, the Demon's driver ones weren't bad, but, like, they didn't really do as much. Obviously, we have our standard finishers. So obviously, just stamp this in like so. Like, I think this is kind of typical, but look at the fade out. So we only have the Destream finish here. And, like, can't you just see, like, how, like, the lights, like, transition, or just, like, how the speed is actually, like, modified? Like, that's what I think is cool. So, other than that, at this point, like, obviously you can still hold this down. Because obviously this is all the phrases still carry over where you're at. But at this point, this is just a traditional Demon's driver. So, if we were to, first of all, transform with a Vice stamp, because I forgot we need to do that. We'll actually choose, we actually need to showcase 4 of these. So, if we were to just transform with Kabuto, so as you can tell, it's kind of, you know, it obviously has the same animations, but the transformation phrases are actually pretty interesting and such. As if we were to use Jackal. You can tell that all the phrases before the Kamen Rider Destream part actually started with V's as opposed to A's. So there's actually variety in the transformations, to which the last one we'll bring up. So all the power-ups obviously are extra. So it gives you an A, or it gives you an E. So all the words start with an E. And then basically, obviously because just like the Libra driver, that the Revice stamps are specific towards, or actually have their own sound set. The Destream driver carries that over too. And then basically for the default transmission, it's just all these ones, the ones that start with A's and such. So obviously, trying to figure out what vice stamps we should do. Obviously, just like the Demon's driver where you can Genome mix, I think it's the same name here. So obviously to do that, just simply press the sides in. Obviously we get the standby, and I think it's the same animation. So we can obviously use Hercules. As you can see, new animations. But I really like how the animal gets beamed up basically. Do the Kabuto. And last but not least, this is the only one we can actually show, and the only other one he's actually done. So, Kong. And then obviously to do the finisher, you press them twice. So we have a new animation, but just like the Weekend driver, it sadly doesn't have a new standby. And then just press it in. So obviously, all that's the same. However, one last point I want to bring out is that some of the Vice stamps actually got updated, or they got their screens updated. I just saw with Jacko and Kong, they actually changed their colors. I don't know for what reason, because I think the only one of these I can definitely tell that I like the colors for is probably Megalodon. I like it. Because obviously if we were to do in the Demon's driver, I'm curious as to why they decided to change the colors, but the big thing is that they actually, besides changing the colors with some of them, they actually changed the look of some, which it's not much. So we'll go through. Because then if you were to compare it with this, I think Rex got more defined, because I can tell his head got rounder. But these two are definitely going to be more obvious. Because obviously I think so far it's just only the color that's different. definitely like the improvement of Bat. Just to, I guess, define it a bit more. And last but not least... I really like that. I think Cobra is probably the best one, just because they actually changed the perspective of Cobra. And I guess if you want to see how both of these work together in tandem. Also, I forgot to say this, but you can just tell how much more louder of a toy this one is. Interestingly. But I think that's kind of the gist that I wanted to cover with this toy, or with the basics, because it's basically just the Demon's Driver with new animations and updated sprites and such. So again, we brought this up already, so we might as well use these. As you can tell, the Kabuto beetle is still the same. So yeah, not surprisingly, they are the same, so I like that they are carried over. And I like that, you know, like, I mean, we already knew about these stamps, but it is cool that they are pre-existing, because sometimes when they do stuff like this, the inclusions are, like, completely new, but... Basically, this toy is kind of the only way to actually hear Vail announce those. So we'll move on to the Revice driver. This. Weirdly, I mean, just like the Spider Vice stamp, it's weirdly very different in tone compared to what it's for. But I mean, again, I like how this came out. And obviously, it's a red LED. I think they purposely tried to make this one very... I mean, I wouldn't really consider it Showa, because it's way too upbeat. Or like, it definitely is not given, like, Showa sounds, but like... Because that'll have to go with Bata, obviously. But... Did I mess up? No. I appreciate the LED with blue. Definitely don't like this one as much as Kabuto, though. I mean, that remix is kind of neat, but I feel nothing. This one always likes pressing. Obviously, this one stopped reading things. Vail does this a lot, so he can shoot projectiles. You know, horn. I would do like how this fills out. No restyling again, I think. I mean, at least it comes out as yellow. And then... shouldn't have done that. That did not slot in at all. Oh my gosh, I just made that connection now. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Destroyer! Let's go. Let's go. Remember how Dark Kabuto used the kunai gun in the PS2 game? I mean, I guess this, yeah, Color Hercules is a thing. No, he's not. I keep forgetting his name, because he was my favorite of the three movie writers. me use this one. No, that just was atrocious. In the demos, I keep overlapping the sounds. Whoop-de-doo. Man, my head is not cooperating, but anyways, I think I got the essentials. So overall, the Destream, the Vail / Destream driver, in a way, like, gosh, I don't think it's bad. I actually think in some aspects it is better than the Demon's driver, because it basically, I feel like, in some aspects, I think the Demon's driver should have had some things that this thing had, but I get that, like, you can't really judge it on that note, because basically this is the premium equivalent to the Demon's driver. It's just that the big issue is that the Demon's driver was not even a retail item. So, just kind of like the Weekend driver, it's kind of really finicky of, like, whether or not it's actually worth getting this thing, because of the fact both versions of the toy were premium. So you're still paying a premium price no matter what. You're not gaining anything out of it. Like, I do like, to the extent, like, this thing is actually two separate drivers in a way, and that they function differently. I think the Vail mode, or the Vail driver mode, is really cool. I like how minimalistic it is. People might complain that it doesn't do a lot, but it doesn't need to, because then I feel like if they added a lot more to it, it'll make the Destream driver mode kind of pointless. Because I do appreciate that the Destream driver mode is basically just a core. The core of it is still a Demon's driver, but just with a lot new, like, basically new improvements to it, which, again, I appreciate and such. But other than that, basically, if you're a big fan of Vail, or you really like Genta, like, if you really want the entire, like, Igarashi, like, if you want to have, like, a display of Igarashi riders, I would definitely recommend it overall. Getting this in the aftermarket is kind of, I wouldn't say it's murky. Like, you obviously just have to pay a decent price for it. I think Zrykin got this for 110 new, which is, I'll say, worth it. Just because I think, you know, you're getting 2 Vice stamps and these pieces of plastic, which this is probably $10, obviously, in like an additional 15. Like, this makes sense of being more costly than the normal Demon's driver set. But, like, obviously, I think obviously what helps this and the Demon's driver is that you need to already have a pre-established collection of Vice stamps and such. Because if you don't, then it's just not going to be fun. And obviously, there isn't like this one. Obviously, doesn't have like anything of like an over David's equivalent because obviously it already has 2 Ryders to begin with. And again, I already complimented this when I initially brought it up, but I really do like the spin they did with just the Vice Stamp transformations. I didn't mind the Rise Requiem, but at the same time, it's just like, yeah, it kind of sucked that was the only soul like transformation sound within the Demon's Driver. That if it wasn't Spider or Kuwagata, or the blank red eyes one, I like that in here. Again, in the Vail mode, it basically does still carry over that like aspect of, hey, here's the same transformation, but I still at least appreciate there's a variation because at least knows what animal you put in. Because I kind of would have actually liked if the original Demon's Driver did that. After, the Rise Requiem Kamen Rider, it just said the animal, but I get that for the purposes of these 2 Vice Stamps, it would have messed it up because then it will just scream out extra. So, I like that they included that in the Vail driver, the Destream driver. I liked all the variation, or I like the 3 variations of transformations you get. It really helps. Refresh a lot of things, and obviously, it's now in the voice of the typical Revice driver stuff. So it actually does like bring out, even though it is a lot of reused sounds from like the previously released Vice Stamps. I don't mind it because it's like it's cool. It at least makes it helps, I guess, make the Destream driver more modern and like separate from Vail, because the only thing of Vail is because you can still hear Vail within the charge, but it's just very subtle and such. But yeah, I don't know if I like this more than the Demon's Driver. I feel like I kind of do to an extent. But like, I don't know. I think I'll have to, like, again, I think I probably do. But I don't know if it will be to the extent I probably would have picked it up if it wasn't for Striken. I don't know. It's just like, because I've already said it, like, it's not to the extent of like the Vision driver where that thing just isn't for me. This thing does definitely appeal to me because I like the sound. Like, I like the sounds for it a lot more than the Demon's driver. And like, or I mean, like, I think they're both on par. Like, the standbys in here are neat. Again, it's just kind of like the same situation as the Weekend driver. They have neat standbys, but they don't do enough to them. Because, like, it's just weird that there's not really, like, 3 sets. You only get, again, both the Weekend driver and this driver suffer from just having 1 finisher standby, which is really weird. I think I'm rambling at this point.